The eyes have it.
Our journey has been steady from the advent. With crystal clear vision, we started off as a news online portal. We subsequently evolved into a magazine, and now on your radio. We do not only bear the name Media House. We practice with the best ethos of our professional calling, presenting facts with objectivity. We are committed and resolute. We are HallowMace. We are the standard bearers. It's HallowMace on radio, dedicated to promotion of legislature, democracy, and good governance. It's hot, interactive, educating, engaging, and entertaining. HallowMace on radio, Thursdays, 10 a.m. on Armed Forces Radio, 107.7 FM. HallowMace on radio. Parliament. Brought to the people.
God bless the Nigerian Armed Forces, the backbone of our democracy and the protector of our constitution. Money and wages cannot pay your prices. Gift and honor cannot reward your sacrifices. And 1,000 tongues cannot praise you enough for spilling your blood for us to live. Discomfort yourself for us to be comfortable and refusing to sleep so that we can sleep in peace. Thank you. We love you and we will always do. We cherish our gallant heroes. Your labor and sacrifice will not be in vain because you will always live in our hearts. This message is from Nigeria Stand for Truth Initiatives.
The eyes have it.
Our journey has been steady from the advent. With crystal clear vision, we started off as a news online portal. We subsequently evolved into a magazine, and now on your radio. We do not only bear the name Media House. We practice with the best ethos of our professional calling, presenting facts with objectivity. We are committed and resolute. We are HallowMace. We are the standard bearers. It's HallowMace on radio, dedicated to promotion of legislature, democracy, and good governance. It's hot, interactive, educating, engaging, and entertaining. HallowMace on radio, Thursdays, 10 a.m. on Armed Forces Radio, 107.7 FM. HallowMace on radio. Parliament. Brought to the people.
A beautiful morning to you, cousin. How you doing today? This is HallowMace on radio. We're excited to have you join us. We hope to have our next 55 to 57 minutes productive as we speak with you. Joining me live on radio this morning is Philip Nyam, New Telegraph's National Assembly correspondent. Good morning.
Thank you.
Now, I feel that I should tell you officially I'm John Daturu, but you've always known me as your cousin on radio. I'm glad to be with you. The producer has always been Prince Anderson. Today, we will be doing business. We hope to have Chibuzo, Okereke, legislative and policy experts, joins us too as we go on this morning, HallowMace. Now, if you recalled, 13th June 2023, the inauguration of the 10th Assembly came through, and we wish to start the countdown to their 1 year. So what it means is by 13th June 2024, the 10th Assembly would be 1 year. Now, there are questions on your lips. I also have got questions. So I'm thinking of what you would want us to do. Someone says, if a Sunday is good, you start seeing it on a Friday. So I'm looking at the conversations. If one would talk about the performance of the 10th Assembly, what would you think they have done? Have they fared well? Only Nigerians will know. And I suppose Philip will also want to say something on that. But should you know, we have about 109 senators, and someone is talking about some development that they've had. You talk about the members of the House of Representatives. Their number is still there too. But I want to have Philip. Maybe he should start up conversations for me. Welcome once again.
Thank you for having me.
What comes to your mind when you talk about the 10th Assembly?
Well, the 10th Assembly, in the first place, where the leadership was constituted, because in a long while, we had one of the most keenly contested elections for the presiding positions in both chambers. And at the end of the day, the leaders emerged. Of course, those who emerged were the choices of the ruling party. And they went into works. I think they've been doing what they want to do.
I like the language of what they want to do.
Yeah.
What do you think they want to do, though?
Well, I believe that they want to raise the ante of the legislative business because before they came in, Nigerians have always had issues with the legislatures, the National Assembly. There has been this general belief that the National Assembly is a place where people go to make money. You know, the lawmakers are not there to make laws or protect the common man.
Do you believe that?
Well, I shouldn't believe that. We shouldn't isolate cases and then generalize. So I think it's not that because it's been mixed feelings, you know. They have done some things which are laudable, and they've also taken some decisions that Nigerians have really feel so strongly about them.
Okay. Yeah. Now, I will be talking some more with Philip Nyam. It's just that while we were talking on this edition of HallowMace on radio, we feel that we can give you an opportunity to, listener, to participate, make your assessment of how the 10th Assembly has fared. I found that one correspondent with Tribune newspaper did a little work too, and he had one of the members talking some more on oversight functions of the National Assembly. Now, I'm looking at the conversation and I'm feeling maybe one will need us to understand, conceptualizing it well now, that what the National Assembly does is that they perform a three-pronged function. First, making laws. It carries out oversight, and at the same time, it represents the people. So maybe while we have this conversation for the first 1 year that we are doing a countdown already, 13 June, we'll be having some concept. Maybe you being a correspondent with the National Assembly, you might talk to me some more too on the areas of oversight functions. Is it too early for us to ask questions around their performances?
No, not at all. Not at all, because we are talking about at least almost 1 year now. So we should be able to assess the two chambers of the National Assembly and see whether they have started on a sound footing or they are following the right path. You know, so and I think in the area of oversight, they have not done so bad because we have seen interventions. You know, especially in the area of labor disputes. You know, we've seen the two chambers intervene when resident doctors, you know, wanted to go on strike. We've seen even the NLC, we've seen the oil unions, you know, we've seen them engage them severally. You know, we have also seen the MDAs, you know, there have been a lot of investigations in both chambers, investigating, probing into allegations of corruption and the misappropriation and all that. So I think in the area of the oversight, the result may not be there yet, but I think they're on the right path.
Okay.
Yes.
Philip Nyam there, correspondent with the Telegraph newspaper. Joining us is Chibuzo Okereke, legislative and policy expert. We've been waiting. Welcome to the building. Good morning.
I'm happy to be here with Prof. It's not just
okay, you call him the Prof now. Why are you called the Prof though?
Well, maybe you should ask him.
Thank you for having me. What kept you? I wouldn't know. You were supposed to be with us earlier.
Yeah, hold up and traffic, you know, and of course, you know, we just faced from the fuel scarcity. So we are recuperating.
It's a challenge. I hope that we recuperate faster because it's not funny. Yeah. We are considering some conversations this morning. We want to start the countdown to the first year of the 10th Assembly. And one big question that is on our mind is that would we say that the 10th Assembly has fared well? Or do we have some reservations? And having you join us on the conversation this morning, I would feel that to have you start up, maybe you should talk to us. What has been your take with these 10th Assembly? There will be 1 year by 13th June. Would you think they have fared well?
Well, first, what I would say is that we should give praise to God that we have had a sustained democratic transition and to even witness the inauguration of the 10th Assembly. And for me, assessing a legislative assembly within their first year, there are key parameters to look at, because in assessment, there are indicators of how things progress and mature.
Okay.
What I would say first is that we have seen significant commitment in terms of how governance should be organized. For instance, within the first 4 to 6 months, the legislative agenda of the 10th House of Representatives were put together and started, to be operationalized. And we have also seen them constitute committees of the House. As you know, these are institutional governance arrangements that are critical. So you could have an assembly that is not even able to put all this together. Now, also, we have seen in that legislative agenda, for instance, taking the House as an example, we have seen about 8 legislative priorities. And within these 8 legislative priorities, we have also seen commitment to, operationalize them. For instance, the support for institutional building and capacity development. We have seen through the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies and other partners, capacity building development for legislators, both outside and within Abuja. Because, as you know, we have overall more than 77% turnover. And what that means is that you have people that need to learn before they will be able to perform, because legislative procedures are not complex but are technical in the sense and regimented. So no matter the sector where you're coming from and the expertise you have there, when you get to the legislature, you have to learn certain things before you are able to function. And that is critical.
The concept of learning, that's one of the things that some people have actually confronted more on HallowMace. At some point, I think I interviewed some friends and they said, it's not good to bring novice into the legislative.
This, you see, in a democratic setting, is organized differently. You have the power of the voters to choose whoever they like to come and represent us. Now, how the voters are able to do that, we cannot state that here. It's not the so. But anybody that is selected to come to the legislature, the only preparedness, if you're seeking to go, you should prepare and then come. If you have been elected, the issue is that whether we teach you or not, you need the knowledge to participate. You can't even raise your hand to move for any, whether substantive motion, procedural motion, or sponsor a bill without understanding the standing order. But where I'm going is to the fact that we have seen sectorial debate, just like Prof was sharing. We have seen this House of Rep and the Senate conduct sectorial debates where we had ministers and heads of agencies come together to debate their policies. I am very bold on issue of policy oversight. The ex-post and reactionary oversight has not helped us for many years. So we need to deal with the matter, in a proactive manner before it now regenerate into issues that cause for investigation.
Do you see prospect with this 10th Assembly that they will be able to do that?
In a political setting, we have aspirations, we have expectations, we have prospect. But Nigerians must not stop to demand accountability. If you leave politicians to themselves, they will not be able, to do everything to your expectation. And that is the beauty of democracy, that citizens are able to organize and engage actively. For instance, call out. For me, I have reservation with our lawmaking process.
Okay.
The way bills are sponsored and that should be discouraged completely. Okay. In fact, if you look at some of the resolutions that have been passed based on motion, you will worry. And the only reason we are keeping quiet is that we have a lot of new people and we need time to change that, because some of the prayers of the motions are not practicable. They are so romantic. They are not, something that has potency and legislative action and can create confusion in overlapping function between committees. And this is, I think, that has been brought to attention and has been addressed. Also, we have to work hard to discourage the idea of everybody having their name on a bill. You have to look at international best practice. Bill is not something for one person. It is something that people come. But the way we have moved from money politics to how we demand things from legislators to now asking people, you have to sponsor me no matter what that bill is. So in a particular assembly, you can have over 4,000, 2,000 bills, and at the end of the day, about 15 or 20 is assented to. Because, so the House Committee on Rules and Business, Senate Committee on Rules and Business, we need more capacity, competence, and institutional arrangement there to ensure that bills get proper scrutiny. There is no favor here. There is no romance. This is institutional arrangement. When bills are sponsored, scrutiny must be done before they are enlisted. Today, bill passing first reading is a given. There's no everything sent is listed.
Now,
it shouldn't be so.
Yeah, I'm looking at conversations some more. You have been covering the National Assembly for a while. You just listened to Chibuzo talk some more on what we are seeing in respect to bill sponsorship in the National Assembly. Whether or not, at the moment, I'm not actually happy because I am looking at some of the things we have been confronted with. If you talk about the satellite, is it DSTV and all of that, Nigerians have not been happy with what is coming at us. And so you are looking at the 10th Assembly and you're feeling that should they have bills like the cousin has spoken, even if it is 4,000, let it be that before you pass bills, don't just romance them. Would your experience in the House as a correspondent, what would you think actually enhances bill sponsorship and then giving it the perspective where resolutions are taken and then it is passed as law?
Well, first of all, I want to say that the issue of bill sponsorship, one of the basic problems there is the pressure from the constituents.
Okay.
Because the lawmakers are being judged according to the bills and motions they're sponsored on the floor of the House. The constituents look at them. Is he talking in the House? Is he making any noise there? Is he outspoken? And so there is competition amongst the lawmakers. I must sponsor a bill. I remember a former chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Abu Samtoko, I think in the 7th Assembly, there was a time he cried out to the Speaker that, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues are threatening me. Because they come with bills. Some of these bills have been reworked. Some of them have been dropped before they bring them back
again.
And motions. Why? Because they want their constituents to know that they are working. So some of the bills are being sponsored for the sake of sponsorship. The people sponsoring them know that these bills cannot go anywhere. But they want it to be recorded against their names. That at least I initiated social number of bills in my first year in the legislature. So that's the number one problem. Now, looking at the potency of these bills, most of the bills are duplicated. Most of them are issues that could be put in one bill, but you see that they will so more divide them that you have 50 bills where we should have just a bill. And then amendments, to most of these bills, you have amendments. Some of these amendments are not well thought out. So that you could have one today, as that one is going on, perhaps it's in the second or third reading, someone else is coming out with another amendment on the same act. So that's why you have this proliferation of bills. Every day you have so many bills coming out. I remember that under Speaker Doga, there was a day over 100 bills were listed for first reading.
Can you imagine?
Yes, over 100 bills.
And there will be praises.
Yes, exactly. From their constituents, that our representatives are working. And mind you are dealing with politicians.
Very well.
So they play to the gallery.
Now, let me talk to Mr. Okereke some more. While you were talking, you spoke about the agenda of this 10th Assembly. Now, I'm looking at one among the agendas now. We are talking on strengthening good governance and then the concept of rule of law and human rights. Would you think that this 10th Assembly has the zest or the strength to handle this, because whether you like it or not, I'm even thinking that we will push it beyond this to the concept of security.
Yeah.
On Tuesday while I was here, I was talking on the concept of security and it looks as if I might not want to make it an absolute statement, but it looks as if people are becoming more lawless as it stands now. So I'm thinking, with your assessment, what would you think? Are we having good governance at all in this new administration, not to even talk of strengthening good governance? Because people are hungry. What is good governance actually?
Yeah, so to start with, government is the machinery of states by which policies are administered. Governance is the whole gamut of is the quality of government. To put it simple, governance is the quality of government in delivering in all the socio-economic, political, and infrastructure fields, including human rights, security, including transparency, accountability. If you look at global benchmarking for what governance is. So, is Nigerians getting quality of governance? The answer will be no. The politicians will argue otherwise. But if you take this legislative priority for the House of Rep, are they doing something to address the quality of governance? The answer is yes. For the first time since 1999, the National Assembly, House of Rep in particular, created a standing committee for monitoring and evaluation of their own standing committees. In the 9th Assembly, we had more than 60-something% of committees who did not sit for more than once. So now with the creation of this committee, you could see that the House of Rep is ready to get the committee's work, because the legislature at plenary is legislature in exhibition, while the legislature at the committee, legislature at work. So the work of the legislature is done at committee level. They handle the real businesses. So in terms of that, now you could see through the sectorial debate and the recent retreat, or rather conference on Section 214 and for creation of a state police, you could see that commitment to unbundle, because you deliver quality of governance with the kind of policies that you make. If we are still having a police system that is governed in a unitary manner, it has not produced results for more than 60-something years, right? So as at 2020, when the Police Act was repealed and reenacted, we had it for more than 50-something years to 70-something years. The Police Act spent 70-something years in Nigeria before it was repealed. And so many other laws today in Nigeria are the laws that came from the colonial days. That is troublesome. And that's why we worry that people are bringing bill for one institution in their village or what have you, when that will not guarantee governance. And nobody is going to sign those bills into law. That take it. So the National Assembly now need to sit back and understand how to do a strategic communication, even to manage the expectations of constituents. We begin to look at productivity index of some of this. So for me, identifying that strengthening good governance is a legislative priority is key. And doing that means addressing governance system in terms of laws, in terms of oversight, in terms of representation as to how this governance will be strengthened. So, as a result, I think that they are doing well, and we just have to encourage the Committee on M&E to ensure that the other standing committees are able to. For instance, committee report has been one of the masquerades in the National Assembly. After reports are laid, it disappears. It's not a public document. And most of the reports carry, in line with Section 62 of the Constitution, carry recommendations of committee for further legislative action. Right?
Yeah.
When the reports are laid and they are not being treated or followed, those recommendations go away. And that is why you see us doing debate and probe and investigation on the same matter time and time again, each assembly. So, but I have to call out the Committee on Public Accounts that looked into the COVID-19 probe, you could see the number of recommendations on monies to be refunded. But it was discovered that the money meant for non-pharmaceutical and pharmaceutical intervention during that time were being used for allowances and furniture in the agencies and ministries. So we start, imagine if you don't have a National Assembly that no matter our expectation for them to improve on the quality of what they are doing and result. Think about a situation where we don't even have at all. What will happen if you see that kind of COVID-19 cases? So I think that we are on the trajectory, but we need both citizens activeness and institutional capacity to deliver.
I would love that. So, cousin, you're just joining us. The program is HallowMace on radio here on Armed Forces Radio 107.7 FM. We're actually on a countdown to the first year in the concept of 10th Assembly of the Nigerian democracy. And you would have heard from my guests submissions they are making. Everyone seems to appreciate the 10th Assembly, that they are doing the right things. It's just that they need to do more.
No.
So he just said no. Now he's bringing me.
No, we said we are expecting 1 year. We have seen, threats of the trajectory that could deliver results. It's not a praise yet, so that I will not be misquoted. I'm not praising yet.
We understand that, because when you talk about the concept of praise, I've been very heavy in my heart. I'm a Nigerian worker, and I know what it means, the concept of the national minimum wage and all of that. Recently, while we talk on the concept of oversight function of the National Assembly, they intervened at some point when NLC was going to threaten strike. The wage allowance was something that was going to actually help Nigerians calm down a bit. But who knows? The way it's going now, since March, some people have not seen anything. Now, you would want to say that, or maybe let me not say it. You should talk to me on what you think Nigerians will be envisaging. Would they be able to give kudos to this 10th Assembly with what they are doing? Because somehow the monies are no longer coming through. The wage allowance are not coming. Yet, these are side functions that we are trying to give them kudos for what they do in intervening. You would find that maybe we need to speak in clearer terms today. That let us not, just like Mr. Okereke said, let's not begin to praise them yet. Let's be hopeful that things will get better. We're looking at 29th of May, and maybe some broadcasts will be made. Would you think that this 10th Assembly has what it takes? Because somehow we have heard words, actions have always been the challenge. Has what it takes to make that Nigerians enjoy good governance, both welfare-wise and other things?
Well, you see, your question could be taken into two phases. One, whether the National Assembly has what it takes to give Nigerians what they expect, what they want. I will say yes.
Okay.
But the other aspect is that, will they give Nigerians that? Now, the issue of having what it takes is that you have very competent people. If you look at the composition of the leadership, in the Senate, for example, the Senate President, the Deputy Senate President, very experienced Nigerians. They have seen it all. You have a Senate President who has served as a commissioner in the state, has served as a governor for 2 terms, has been a minister, has been in the legislature before, and now is the Senate President. What else do you expect from such a man to give Nigerians the best? Right? Yeah. And then you have other principal officers who have been in the legislature for quite a long time. The same thing in the House of Reps. You have a speaker who has been there, for many years and was doing very well. He has done very well as a legislator on individual level. And so we expect that they have what it takes. They have the experience, and of course they have interacted with their constituents. They know the problems Nigerians are facing. So they should be in the better position to give Nigerians what is expected from them. But then, these are human beings. And so they have their strengths and they have their weaknesses. And so you could also see that in the way the 2 chambers are being run. But you also give it to the legislature, because when you talk about oversight, you know that most of what they do is just recommendations. It's advisory, because the Constitution does not give them the power to compel the legislature, the executive, to act on their recommendations. The only power you could talk about is the power of impeachment. And then if you say, okay, today we made so recommendations and the executive did not take it, the next thing is that we embark or we initiate an impeachment process, perhaps against Mr. President. The process itself is tedious. So it's not a one-off thing. And so they are bulwarks. But I think this is work in progress. Okay. And I can see that the present National Assembly is ready to collaborate with the executive. And Nigerians believe that when there is no conflict, between the executive and the legislature, it means the legislature is not working. Okay. But you can disagree without having conflicts, And so we expect that the present collaboration should be positive. It shouldn't be negative. It should be positive for Nigerians because, like you say, Nigerians are hungry.
Very true.
And they are expecting that things should pick up. The government is promising. The legislature and the executive are promising that, look, things could be better. But Nigerians expect that this thing shouldn't take too long. We are already 1 year into the new government. Yeah. So we expect that by the time we step into the second year, things should start picking up. So if things start picking up, Nigerians will also be happy.
Mr. Okereke, do you think that it is too much an expectation from Nigerians that we would have by now felt things would have taken off? Because, since the broadcast of the inaugural speech of Mr. President with the concept of subsidy is gone, I don't know how you felt when you realized we had to go into looking for fuel again for 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and then Nigerians are paying more. At some point, some people said over 1,000 naira they had to get the products. Now, I'm looking at it and I'm feeling, is it too much an expectation from us to say, we demand of you to, as you come in, just hit the ground running? Don't be telling us 2 years or 3 years before we start seeing impact of your government.
You see, governance is not rocket science, and it is visible. If you look at the FCT, and you can say that the minister is delivering. First, he gave a policy statement, no more, because when you come into office, you study the environment, no more variation. If you're a contractor, you come here for it will not be paid. If we gave you land and you are keeping it to sell it 5 billion, we will take it back. You see people fencing everywhere. They are sending away mechanic workshops. Because they know that the man will do it. Confidence building and capacity is something you demonstrate. It's not something you wish, right? If you look at the Minister of Interior, he has not been 1 year in office, and you and I can apply for a passport from our home. Women can change women can change their spouse name without traveling to Abuja from anywhere. That is what we are talking about. The area of deliverables are easy to see, and anybody that is delivering, we will see it. If you look at the ministers who are also sleeping, Nigerians can say that this one, after swearing in, we can't find this man again. So it's not difficult. Now, I want to say this because of what the prof said regarding oversight. My brother, if we want to deliver governance, we have to be ready to do so.
Very true.
Any appointment that National Assembly have capacity to confirm, they must have the authority to impeach the person. The idea that is only those elected, governor or president, who can impeach, is why oversight cannot work.
You see that?
In other crimes, legislature, even at state level, can impeach attorney general, they can impeach head of agency. That is what is supposed to be.
Now, we're talking about the issue of impeachment, and quickly, I would like us to take a look at what is happening in Rivers State. Rivers State's APC tells the House of Assembly to impeach Governor Fubara. What do you take on that?
You see, you don't tell somebody to impeach. The ground for impeachment is laid out in the Constitution, right? What a misconduct is, gross misconduct, whatever, is laid out. So you don't, you see, what we are doing now is a big joke. When there is a political crisis, you don't use the highest instrument of governance for deterrent to address political crisis. There must be evidence that the governor has committed gross misconduct as prescribed in the law. Not that, I'm quarreling with you. Okay, what do I have under the law? No, sir. This is not a military regime, and we are not in people's private homes. So you don't need to advise somebody to impeach anybody. You only need to. And the process is also laid out. It's not by advice. If you have to, first of all, have a resolution saying so, write to the person, and the person will reply or not reply. You call for the Attorney General to constitute a panel to look at the matter, make recommendation to the House to take a. So the idea, what we have been doing, and is addressing governance in subnational level is a big challenge in Nigeria. And unfortunately, I dare tell you that 80-something% of governance at the subnational level is zero. You see, any place where you elect governors or whatever name and they become monarchs, but they want accountability at federal, they don't want it at state, we cannot make progress. When you don't want your state assembly to function, or where the state assembly is being manipulated against the chief executive of a state, who suffers? It is the people that suffer. So
one question
I'm making this recommendation strongly.
Okay.
Governance cannot work. Legislative activism cannot work until the powers of the legislature to hold to account, not call to account. What is now in section 8889 is a call to account. And they said the purpose of whatever investigation you are doing is to expose corruption, waste, and mismanagement. No, sir. That is not how it's done in other crimes. So we should, that's why we are calling for a new constitution. And the reason is this. This constitution, yes, it has been transformed into a democratic document, but we can see elements of it that try to suppress democratic institutions that is for public accountability, and that includes the legislature. The legislature is suppressed under this constitution. They don't have as much power as you think. Even when they issue warrant of arrest, they will go back to executive to implement it. And we can see the new African democracies and the character. So I feel that the amendment the legislature should focus on. Remember, in the 9th Assembly, there was an attempt to amend the constitution so that the legislature will have power to invite anybody because of the issue that they say president come. But today, the former president of U.S. is going to court. He's going to court. He didn't gather people to and say that this is dehumanizing, right? So if the Senate can approve any appointment, or the National Assembly, because there are some that both chambers have to do the approval, whoever they have capacity to confirm the appointment, they should have capacity to remove. We even saw provision in the CBN Act that required the concurrence of the Senate in the removal of a CBN governor, but that did not happen. So even our own laws, we have to respect it. We have to believe in the rule of law if we want things to work. Yeah.
Thank you, cousin. You're just joining us. The program is HallowMace on radio. We have already begun the countdown to the National Assembly, the 10th National Assembly at 1. And what we're looking at is, would you think that the 10th Assembly has fared well? If yes or no, what would be your reactions? You could talk with us on 0909 752 9699. The numbers again, 0909 752 9699 is the number for you to call, and let's have your input on this conversation. The 10th Assembly at 1, 13th June. The countdown has begun for us. And we have with us in the building, Mr. Chibuzo Okereke is an expert indeed, as you would want to work the conversation with me in respect to legislative and policy. And so you can come through if you've got some questions you would want to ask or contributions you would want to make. Reach us on 0909 752 9699. Also, we have with us Philip Nyam, Nyam. They call him the Prof. He's a New Telegraph National Assembly correspondent. And this is one question that I'm looking at. The Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, had to stop some media houses from covering the Senate. Are you aware?
Well, I think not from covering the Senate per se, but I think from covering the proceedings in the chambers.
Okay.
I don't know how details.
Okay.
Of this incident, and so I'll be constrained, to comment on it. But as a journalist, I have to be objective and very ethical.
Very true.
And so I have to go to the details. I have to know the details of how this came about. Were they barred from covering the plenary because of certain issues, because of reports they have done before, or is it because of space? That, okay, we do not have enough space in the chamber, so we have to ration this, and we pick some could be outside. So these two issues have to be taken concurrently. Okay. So when I get those details, I should be in a better position to comment on this. Well, as for now, I will say that I'm aware that some media houses have been asked not to cover the proceedings from the chambers.
All right.
But they are still there covering activities of the Senate.
Okay.
Yes.
0909-752-9699. I want to allow you, cousin, to be part of this conversation. Let it not just be all about Mr. Chibuzo Okereke and, of course, Philip Nyam. Good morning, cousin. Thank you for joining us. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
Alpha.
Go ahead. I'm struggling to actually hear you clearly, but try. Talk some more. Let's hear you.
Because the Front Assembly and indeed all the assemblies have not performed properly.
Okay. Why would you say that?
Look at all the sectors in Nigeria, all the sectors, and look at some other African smaller countries. If you look at all the sectors, tell me which area is functioning, including the road to your office now. Tell me what's your function with monthly salary and all that. So what is it that they have done to administer? Not everyone that will be in the National Assembly or in the judiciary or the executive. So tell us what the National Assembly, their own function, what is it that they have done? Nothing is working. If you look at the legislative sector, the health sector, the education sector, just tell me which area is functioning. No light as of now, no light anywhere. So be realistic.
Okay.
Travel to that country, we see what is happening, and we come back to allow the thing. You keep on making laws up and down, giving fast salary to yourself, and all sorts of things. So, my brother, you are part of it. You are part of the country. You are now listening. Tell me which area is functioning. This is university or secondary or primary.
Okay.
Look at some children all that in. The roof is leaking and all that. From the local government to the federal level, is something wrong with our country? Is it let me use the power language with you?
No, you would. I might not permit you. Thank you so much, though. I suppose you have made your point, and maybe we might have some reactions from my guest in the building. For him, is not actually comfortable with the performances of the 10th Assembly, but somehow I'm looking at the time. We have a limited time in our hands. Mr. Okereke, this is one big question that I would like you to actually help Nigerians with, because somehow I'm not interested in the 1 year they are turning by June 13. I'm interested in what we should see work. For him, nothing is working. And 1, 2, 3 persons that might come through will also tell you nothing is working. Why? Maybe from the place of hunger, we are seeing how Nigerians are suffering. The prices of things in the market. At some point on one of my moments on radio, I say, who are supposed to even regulate prices of things in the markets? Because you keep having prices skyrocket and nothing is happening, not regulation and all of that. And we have the National Assembly. Please help Nigerians with what we should be doing. Or you said you're already advocating that we should be the ones to hold the government. Not just a section that will talk some more.
You see, the Nigerians see, I've been in this system for a while. Nigerians see politics and government as another profession of some people. And that should not happen. So we have to spend time. There are many solutions. Educating people from primary school to, I was telling somebody, do you know when you're studying government in school, the government they are teaching you is executive. It is now we are realizing that there is also legislature and even judiciary. Now, if you go further, the judiciary has even done a course. They have law. you read from, you even go to law school. Which one is happening in the legislature? That is the one that is mostly understudied, and people do not have knowledge, and that is why they take them for granted. Even the executive try to suppress them. Even if you talk to legislators outside the camera or chamber, they will also tell you that they are troubled about the country and all that. Now, I tell you this. We have problem with policy design and communications. For instance, I believe in certain, democracy has the optics side and have the, rooted approach to issue. Nigerians have been crying about this DSTV multi-choice thing. And I have seen that somehow some people believe that the legislature cannot call any private sector business owner to account. That is a lie. Is what I want to tell Nigerians today. That even outside the investigative hearing, whether at plenary level or anything, there is a committee on public petitions that you can petition any private sector person, you will be summoned. And the legislature as a whole have to begin to be pragmatic and acquire the capacity to oversight private businesses. Please, there is no private business in Nigeria that is not functioning because of a law made by the National Assembly or State Assembly. So it is not true that MTN, MultiChoice, or whoever they are cannot come to the National Assembly. If Facebook goes to Congress more than 4 times in a month, and the TikTok owners are in Congress, and many other people, including even the secretary to the government. So there is nobody that cannot come. The legislative powers, legislative houses, powers and privileges are 2018 has given the legislature that power and privilege to interrogate into any matter and invite any person and summon any document or whatever. So the legislature itself has to organize themselves around it. If Nigerians are worried about multi-choice, please, when you invite multi-choice owners, wherever they may be, they should come. Once a senator asked when they were dealing with data protection in America, Facebook owner Mark Zuckerberg was in the Congress, and the senator asked him, Mr. Mark, please, can you tell us the hotel you slept during the week? He said he may not be able to reveal it here. He said, can you tell us the people you have sent messages to in the last 4 days? He said, Mr. Senator, I may not be able to do that. He now said, Mr. Ma, this is what we are talking about. If you have right to your privacy and you cannot reveal it, why can't we ensure that Facebook does not invade people's privacy? This is what we need to be. Not we'll stay here, oh, this one has increased tariff. This one, they don't give a damn whether there is a legislature that will investigate them. So, because the legislature is preoccupied with a lot of things happening in the public sector. Why those in the private sector are ripping Nigerians off? Now, the issue of pricing, the president in his manifesto promised to establish marketing boards. Marketing boards are middle management bodies that manage, prices and interaction between demand and supply in marketplaces. Nigerians want to make money at all costs. So if the speculation and rumor causes price to increase, even in my village, and the POS operator is charging you anything he likes, and you ask the person, he said it's dollar, it's fuel, even when the dollar of fuel does not cost. I said, this is your POS. Did you transport the POS from any farm today? So we need a lot of education. We need a lot of sensitization. Everything cannot work by regulation. This is very key, because regulation needs human factor to be effective. But education and knowledge can make even customers insist on what is right.
Cousin, I hope you heard that too. I would like Philip Nyam to react to this caller that called last, and for him, nothing is happening as far as the National Assembly is concerned. And for him, it's not just about the 10th Assembly. It's been a consistent trend. For him, nothing is happening. What would you say to them?
He has the right to your opinion, and that is his own opinion. But I think something is happening, and something has happened since 1999. This is not where we were in 1999. We have made some steps. I know that we have also made mistakes. But definitely we have also made some progress. And so along the line, as we are making progress, we're also making mistakes. And so there's a change. Now, talking about the 10th Assembly, for example, one important legislation which this 10th Assembly has passed, the Student Loans Act, to me is the high point, because you see the number of Nigerian students who cannot further their education after secondary school. And so we believe that our ambassador has talked about policy implementation. It's a very good act, it's a very good law. So if it is well implemented, it means that a lot of indigenous students could have access to higher education. So such an act, you can say that is the right thing in the right direction. So you see that something has actually happened. Yes, Nigerians are hungry. Things are tough. We are still looking for fuel. This has been with us. If you pick papers in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, you see it's been the same thing. Talk about exchange rate, or forex. It's the same issue we have had over the years, And so, Bob, I believe that efforts are being made. We are not there yet. We are not even close to it yet, but I believe that if we consistently make these efforts, and we are committed, then things could change for the better.
Thank you for joining us on HallowMace live here, Armed Forces Radio 107.7 FM. It is the countdown to one of the 10th Assembly that we are on with this day. We have with us policy experts, legislative and policy expert Chibuzo Okereke, Philip Nyam, New Telegraph's National Assembly correspondent. We intend that you also have your own contributions on this edition of HallowMace on radio. If you've got a question or contributions to make, 0909-752-9699 is the number for you to call. 0909-752-9699. On this countdown to 13th June, I promise you, cousin, we will be bringing lawmakers in our moment of broadcast here, HallowMace on radio, and maybe then you might have your direct questions to ask them. But for this edition, we will begin to wind up business of the day as I get back to Chibuzo Okereke, legislative and policy expert, to speak to us in his own last words, because whether or not, the best thing that will happen to me is that when I'm leaving out the studio now, the fuel has come down to 300 naira. And he laughed. It's looking like a prophecy. You talk on the concept of policies, and I'm like, could it be that we just make policies without assessing things before taking decisions? Because I'm wondering why somebody is buying fuel for over 600 naira, and then they're telling me subsidy is still being paid in some parlance. I don't know. You could talk to us.
So what I think is, for us to domesticate and naturalize our concept of democracy, and then ensure that there is accountability and transparency in governance. When the proponent of democracy, the idea they had is that they want legitimacy and popular participation. That is, more people getting involved. If you look at the trajectory of democracy from the medieval period to this moment, you could see that it's about agitation for inclusion, for more people to be involved. Then, as a country, we need to also define our political philosophy, which will control our political economy. Which state are we? Is it a capitalist state? Is it a mixed economy? Is it a socialist state? Which one are we pursuing? We should not be red when we feel we should be red, and green. And another thing that Nigerians need to know is that there is state capture. Especially in new African democracies, many of the policies we're implementing is being influenced by global actors. This is the reality of things. So I think that in terms of the subsidy issue is a problem. I was on another station and I said, The promise to Nigerians is if we remove subsidy, the first thing that will happen is that there will be availability. Second is that we will have more money to do socio-economic development.
Where are we now?
We cannot tell Nigerians a different thing. So the government must rise to the occasion, and that is why I speak about responsibility accounting. It's not only financial accounting or how money is spent, the public income and expense. No, people must be accountable for the decisions they make and what they do. If there is logistic failure in providing fuel to people, somebody has to be responsible. If that does not happen, then we are not going to go anywhere. So I'm giving the president the benefit of that he said as the Minister of Petroleum, as we know, that anybody who does not perform, he's going to show the person out of the way. I think that in his May address, having been 1 year, the handwriting would have been on the wall. Part of the agenda we set for the government was that if we don't see roadmap in 6 months for any ministry, agency, and all that, that person should be shown out. Because what exactly are you? Do you want to continue bureaucratic administration of coming to office and signing one letter and going to stand somewhere and take picture? Where is the roadmap of what you want to achieve as head of agency? Every agency in this country, apart from the ones created by policy, already have an act. That act gave them responsibility and duties. Now gave them self-regulatory power to pursue a vision. I want to see what is the roadmap, the work plan, the strategic development approach they have developed. This is what they are pursuing to meet in 6 months. This is how they can be accountable. Secondly, the president did well in establishing the policy coordination unit. We need to hear more from them. Launching an app and asking Nigerians to go and track app is not enough. People in the villages that need the social intervention don't even have phone to talk about app. Yes, it's good to use technology to drive some of these things. We must also do it in a way that people are accommodated. We need to see the first report of that particular, government body to say that this is how ministries and agencies have fared. Let them issue honest, objective report to the president. Forget about the one you issue like they were doing under President Buhari. Anytime they come for retreat to review, they will praise themselves. I have said that Nigeria is not a division between one ruling party and opposition. Nigeria is a country of people who want their government to work for them.
Very important, and I suppose it's a good place to leave our conversation today. But maybe let me have a clearer moment. You are a correspondent with the National Assembly. At one, if you are to score what their performance or their faring has been, is it going to be a 10 or it will be a 1? Now he laughed.
That would be a very difficult question for me to give you a straightforward answer. But just to say that I think, like I said before, they've started very well, and I expect that they will continue in this trajectory and they will not deviate. And so if they do that, we are bound to see results. But if they deviate, it means that we'll be going backwards.
It's a challenge. Thank you so much for coming through. We must appreciate you. Chibuzo, Okereke, legislative and policy experts, coming on this edition of HallowMace on radio. Thank you so much. I also would want to appreciate Philip Nyam, New Telegraph National Assembly correspondent. Until next week, 10 o'clock, we will be back with you. But remember that the countdown to one of the 10th Assembly has begun with us here on HallowMace on radio. And we promise you we'll be bringing lawmakers on some of our editions as we assess their performance for this 1 year. Bob Genesis, the Gospel Touch, your cousin on radio, remains my name. Prince Anderson has been the producer of the program. Do well to join us again next week at exactly 10 a.m. Good morning.
Those against the eyes have it.
Our journey has been steady from the advent. With crystal clear vision, we started off as a news online portal. We subsequently evolved into a magazine, and now on your radio. We do not only bear the name Media House. We practice with the best ethos of our professional calling, presenting facts with objectivity. We are committed and resolute. We are HallowMace. We are the standard bearers. It's HallowMace on radio, dedicated to promotion of legislature, democracy, and good governance. It's hot, interactive, educating, engaging, and entertaining. HallowMace on radio, Thursdays, 10 a.m. on Armed Forces Radio, 107.7 FM. HallowMace on radio. Parliament. Watch to the people. Watch to the people.